The screen fades in with a low hum of desert wind camera, panning over jagged red rocks under a blazing sun. A urgent radio crackle breaks the silence. This is no drill. Alert at 15:58 hours. 6 armored vehicles, 3 jammer trucks escorted by anti-air units barreling through Eagles Rift Canyon toward Silver Lake Dam. Breach imminent. 15,000 lives in the valley below will drown, and the western grid goes dark. F-35s scrambled, but jammed blind. They can't navigate the tight turns without crashing into the cliffs. Cut to a SEAL team on a ridge, faces grim under camouflage. Command, it's too late. They'll hit the dam in 10 minutes. We need close air support now, or it's over. No one glances at the shadowed hangar where an old A-10 Warthog sits, forgotten its titanium skin scarred from battles long past, except for her, a Caucasian woman in her early 50s, with fair skin glowing under the harsh light. Sharp features etched with quiet determination. Dark brown hair tied back in a practical ponytail, and a physique that blends athletic strength with feminine curves. Her bust subtly outlined under faded coveralls. She pauses, hand brushing her back, where an eagle tattoo hides beneath fabric, a symbol of freedom caged by years of pain. Her eyes deep blue and haunted, fix on the horizon. Whispering to herself, one last flight or let the ghosts win. The mystery builds. Who is this overlooked technician, and why does her gaze hold the weight of unspoken battles? Narrator voiceover. This is the story. Scape, where unsung heroes reclaim the skies. If you crave tales of grit against impossible odds, subscribe, hit the bell, and buckle up. Comment below. Where are you watching from today, and what's your most unforgettable military memory? The base at Eagle Ridge sprawls across the arid New Mexico desert, a relic of Cold War-era fortifications, with sun-bleached hangars, rusted Quonset huts, and tarmac shimmering like a mirage. Dust devils whirl in the distance, carrying the scent of sagebrush and jet fuel, a landscape that feels timeless, evoking memories of Bohuundoitinufua airfields for older viewers. Elena Voss blends into this rhythm, her fair skin dusted with grease, sharp cheekbones, framing a face that's both beautiful and battle-worn. At 52, her body is toned from years of physical labor, strong arms, a defined waist, and curves that speak of quiet femininity amid the masculine world of aviation. She moves with reserved discipline, checking hydraulics on an F-35, her eagle tattoo itching under her shirt as a reminder of lost dreams. Prejudices abound. Young male pilots joke in the mess hall. "Tech Voss. She's good with wrenches, but leave the flying to us real aces." One smirks. Women like her belong in the kitchen, not the cockpit, especially after what happened in Afghanistan. Elena overhears, but says nothing. Her internal wound, festering the loss of her husband, Captain Mark Voss, and their son Tommy, in a 2005 ambush she survived but blamed herself for. Flashback interlude grainy mental images of Afghanistan's rugged Hindu Kush mountains. Elena piloting an A-10 on a close air support run. Explosions rock the valley. Radio screams, "Shadow 7, pull up, Mark's unit is hit." She lands too late. Holding Tommy's photo later, she vows never to fly again, fearing her curse of survival. Educational note. Elena explains to a rookie tech for viewer benefit. The A-10's GAU-8 Avenger cannon fires 3,900 rounds per minute of 30mm depleted uranium designed for tank busting. But it's the titanium bathtub armor that keeps pilots alive when others fall. Strengths shine subtly. Her rare skills in electronic warfare shine as she tweaks a jammer countermeasure. But she's underestimated, fueling her internal scar. Am I just a relic like this desert human touch? She reads an old letter from her father, a Bunawu P-51 pilot. Elena eagles don't hide from storms, they soar through them. This sets up her reserved nature, disciplined, but haunted by self-doubt and societal bias against female veterans. Sirens wail across the base, piercing the afternoon haze, like a call from the past, shattering the quiet rhythm Elena had wrapped herself in. The desert sun casts long shadows over the tarmac as pilots scramble their boots, pounding the hot asphalt, in a frenzy that echoes the urgency of old war stories. Many of us remember from our youth. Radio details crackle through the air. Hostile convoy rogue militia led by ex-Colonel Harlan Kane, a disgraced officer with a grudge. Armored with Russian surplus jammers blocking our F-35s. Target Silver Lake Dam built in the 1950s to power the Southwest, a marvel of engineering that tamed the wild rivers and brought light to homes across the region. Breach it, and it's Hoover Dam all over again. Floods sweeping away families, blackouts plunging cities into darkness, chaos that could echo the hardships of those post-war years. Antagonist introduction. Kane, a grizzled veteran in his 60s, scarred from the same Afghanistan mission as Elena, his face lined with bitterness under a weathered cap. He blames her for his demotion. She reported his reckless orders that led to casualties, including the ones that haunts them both. From his command vehicle rumbling through the dust, he snarls into the mic. This is payback. Shadow 7 thinks she's forgotten. I'll make her remember. Elena freezes mid-checklist, heart pounding, as if the eagle on her back is clawing to break free, a burning reminder of the storms her father wrote about. The Canyon Eagle's Rift is a treacherous maze of red sandstone walls, narrow switchbacks, and thermal updrafts that twist like invisible serpents, reminiscent of the Grand Canyon's deadly beauty, but weaponized for ambush, a place where one wrong move means everything. SEAL Recon cuts in voices, tight with desperation. Convoys disciplined Kane style. 10 minutes to dam. We need someone who can fly low under radar, hugging those rocks like their life depends on it. Emotional resonance. Elena's eagle tattoo feels like it's burning against her skin. A vision of Tommy flickers in her mind, his young voice soft yet strong. Mom, be the hero Dad said you are. The call stirs her deepest pain, the wounds of loss and doubt, but it also ignites a spark of purpose, a quiet fire that whispers she might still soar through the storm after all. Elena whispers to herself, her voice barely audible over the fading echo of the sirens. Not me. I'm done. The words hang in the air like a final surrender, pulling her back into the shadows of her past. Flashback deepens the memories, flooding in like a relentless tide. Post-Afghanistan, she stands rigid in a stark boardroom facing a panel of stern officers under fluorescent lights that cast harsh shadows on their faces. One leans forward, his voice dripping with condescension. Captain Voss, your survival was luck, not skill. Women crack under pressure, especially in the heat of battle. The words sting like shrapnel embedding deep. She quits right there, internalizing the bias that society had whispered to her for years, turning her grief into a cage of self-doubt. Commander dismisses her. Now, his tone clipped and dismissive as he strides past. Voss, you're civilian now. Let the boys handle it. We need real pilots for this. A young pilot nearby sneers his words, cutting sharper than any blade. She'd probably crash in those curves, like her family did right. Some people just aren't cut out for it. The hangar feels colder, the prejudice is echoing off the metal walls, stirring a quiet anger in those who listen, reminding us of the battles fought not just in the skies, but in the hearts of those overlooked. Near giving up moment alone. In the shadowed hangar, she touches the A-10's nose, art a faded eagle matching her tattoo, its wings spread wide but weathered by time. Tears well in her deep blue eyes, blurring the world. I can't lose again. She murmurs the weight of Mark and Tommy's absence, pressing down like an unrelenting storm. Elena dong letaisiet chart, buk tuchagyong. Noitam titam jaide, tut mind konjusukong. Laoko pai mind chilakesong. Sot meman hetuksula motoloi. Goyan kien moangoi. Xungkwan faichet Mark Tommy. Nu minbai. La nua liuko failap. Lai noai joai. Nhung loi tuvanai. Nu dao kat vao tim kien ko dodu gjua. Kwakuaman vasak mantiaman. But the siren's wail echoes on, mingling with her father's words from the letter. Eagles don't hide from storms, cracking her resolve just enough to let a sliver of light through. Twist misdirection. She almost walks away, steps heavy with resignation, but overhears the radio crackling to life. Kane's broadcasting. This is for Shadow 7. Come out or the dam falls and all those lives with it. The personal taunt pulls her back, a hook in her soul, forcing her to confront the storm she thought she'd escaped. As the radio's taunt from Kane lingers in the air like a dark cloud, Elena stands frozen in the hangar, her hand still resting on the A-10's faded eagle nose, art the siren's distant wail blending with the pounding of her heart. In that moment of deepest doubt, the mentor emerges from the depths of her memory, hologram, like and vivid, triggered by the old dog tag necklace she wears close to her chest, a simple silver chain etched with her father's name, a relic from his days flying P-51 Mustangs over Europe in World War II. His voice strong and steady as she remembers from childhood stories around the dinner table speaks, through recalled advice that echoes in her mind. Discipline isn't the absence of fear, Elena. It's action despite it. You've got that electronic warfare edge in you. Use it to jam their jammers, turn their strength against them, just like we did in the skies over Normandy. The words wrap around her like a warm blanket against the desert chill, reminding her of the resilience passed down through generations, a quiet strength that many of our elders know all too well from their own trials. Then comes the ally stepping out from the shadows of the hangar with a purposeful stride, grizzled Tech Sergeant Ramirez, a Vietnam vet in his late 70s, with salt and pepper hair cropped short a limp from shrapnel that never fully healed, and eyes that have seen too much but still hold a spark of unyielding fire. He places a weathered hand on her shoulder, his voice gravelly yet kind. Voss, I saw you fly in 05 over those Afghan valleys, precise, fearless like the hog itself. Don't let Kane's lies bury you alive. You're our only shot. That A-10's built for this tough and unrelenting just like you. We've got no time for doubts. Let's load her up and show them what real grit looks like. Educational dialogue flows naturally as Ramirez loads the weapons with practiced hands, explaining for her, and perhaps for us, listening to steady her nerves. AGM-65 Mavericks for those precision strikes, infrared seeking to punch through the haze. Counter the jammers by locking on their heat signatures. And remember, fly contour, hug the ground tight to evade those SAMs. Use the canyon's own twists as your shield, like dodging patrols in the jungles back in Nam. Unique twist. As they work, Ramirez leans in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Kane's got a weakness. Voss, a stolen code from your old missions, the one he swiped during that botched op in Afghanistan. It ties back to his betrayal. Use it against him. Flip the script. You've got the key right here in your head. The Alliance forms a bridge from past to present, turning her isolation into shared purpose, igniting the fire within her to face the storm ahead. With Ramirez's words echoing in her ears like a lifeline from the past, Elena feels the shift within her, a quiet resolve, building against the tide of doubt, the stolen code from her old missions, now a weapon in her mind, ready to turn betrayal into victory. She nods to him, her deep blue eyes steadying, and steps toward the A-10, the hangar buzzing with sudden activity as the crew rallies around her. Elena suits up the flight suit, zipping over her toned form with a familiar snap, fitting perfectly to her strong yet alluring silhouette, a symbol of defiant beauty in a world that had tried to diminish her. Her fair skin, contrasting against the olive fabric curves, speaking of a femininity that had endured loss and prejudice without breaking. The crew loads the A-10 swiftly, their hands moving with precision, born of years on the line, full drum on the GAU-8, that 7-barreled beast ready to unleash 3,900 rounds per minute of armor-piercing fury. Rockets latched under the stubby wings for those clustered targets, and Mavericks hung for surgical strikes, each one guided by infrared to seek out heat, like a hawk on prey. Ramirez oversees it all, adding educational notes that ground her. Remember Voss, the Hog's titanium armor can take hits that would down sleeker jets. Fly her low use that straight-wing stability to weave through the rift without losing control. The process feels like a ritual, transforming her from the overlooked technician back into Shadow 7. The eagle tattoo on her back seeming to spread its wings as she climbs the ladder into the cockpit. The seat molds to her like an old friend, harness clicking, secure throttle smooth under her palm, every sensation stirring memories of flights long ago, but now laced with purpose. Takeoff engines roar to life with a deep rumbling growl that vibrates the desert sand beneath the wheels, sending ripples through the tarmac like an earthquake awakening ancient guardians. The A-10 taxis forward, the crew stepping back with salutes that carry respect she hadn't seen in years. She eases the throttles and the jet surges down the runway, lifting off with a thunderous whoosh that echoes across the base. The sun glinting off its scarred skin as it climbs shallow, staying low to avoid early detection. She banks low over the rift, the canyon walls closing in like ancient guardians carved from red sandstone, their jagged edges whispering warnings of the perils ahead. Thermal updrafts tugging at the wings, narrow passages that demand split-second decisions. A landscape that tests not just skill, but the soul. Mini-climax. First contact comes swiftly as she crests a ridge, spotting the convoy's dust trails, snaking through the canyon floor like a venomous serpent. 6 armored vehicles flanked by jammers, their antennas whipping in the wind. Heart steady despite the rush, she arms a Maverick. "Lock on Jammer 1." She mutters into the mic, the targeting pod humming as it acquires the heat signature. Tone good. She fires, the missile leaps from the rail with a sharp hiss, streaking low and true around a bend. A heartbeat later, the canyon ahead blooms with a fiery explosion. The jammer truck erupting in a spray of metal and flame shockwave bouncing off the walls and slamming into her canopy like a physical blow. Chaos ripples below, vehicles swerving, but Elena presses on the Hog's growl, a promise of more to come. Her transformation complete as she crosses into the heart of the challenge, no longer hiding from the storm, but flying straight into it. The explosion from the first jammer still echoes off the canyon walls like thunder rolling through the ancient red rocks. But Elena doesn't pause to savor the victory. There's no time in this gauntlet where every second counts, and the rift's treacherous embrace demands constant vigilance. In the canyon's depths, shadows play tricks on her eyes, dancing across the rugged sandstone as thermal updrafts buffet the plane with invisible fists, trying to wrench control from her steady hands. She adjusts trim with the precision of someone who's danced this deadly waltz before her fair skin flushed under the helmet, sharp features set in quiet determination. Suddenly, small arms fire erupts from below tracers, streaking up like angry fireflies in the dimming light. Tracers everywhere. Kane's got shoulder-launched man pads. She mutters into the mic, her voice calm, but edged with the weight of experience rolling the A-10, hard to evade the glowing arcs that stitch the sky. Allies prove crucial in this chaos, the SEAL Alpha guiding via radio with a voice steady as a rock. Shadow 7 flank left, avoid the ambush pocket ahead. They've got nests on the ridges, but stay low, and you'll slip through. His intel is a lifeline, a reminder that she's not alone in this fight, drawing on the camaraderie that many veterans cherish from their service days. But the internal enemy lurks closer than the convoy. A saboteur pilot, once an ally, now twisted by jealousy, feeds false intel over the open channel, misdirecting her toward a narrower choke point. Head right. Voss, clear path there. He says, his voice masking malice born of resentment toward her overlooked skills, a betrayal that stings like the prejudices she's faced for years. Enemies deepen the trial, Kane's presence growing more personal as he radios, taunts that cut through the static like a knife. Voss, you let Mark die out there in the dust. Your hesitation, your weakness. Now watch this valley drown just like your dreams did. The words reopen old wounds, fueling her resolve, even as they hurt, and the twist hits hard. He's using her old frequencies, a personal hack from their shared Afghanistan days, turning her own codes against her in a cruel echo of the betrayal that cost so much. Tests come relentlessly one after another as she neigh a missile streaking up from a hidden launcher, the warning tone screaming in her headset. She dumps flares in a brilliant cascade, the heat seeker veering off, but not before a fragment grazes the wing. Educational insight flashing in her mind amid the adrenaline. A-10's self-sealing tanks save the day. She thinks the fuel lines closing automatically to prevent catastrophe, a testament to the Hog's rugged design that has saved countless lives in conflicts from Desert Storm to today. Family memory fuels her resilience in these harrowing moments. Tommy's drawing a childish sketch of an eagle with "Mom the Hero" scrawled below, tucked in her pocket like a talisman. Its simple lines reminding her of the love that endures beyond loss, giving her the strength to push through the pain and doubt. The canyon bites back with more fury, crosswinds slamming the jet as she spots the second jammer truck weaving through the convoy, its escorts firing wildly. She lines up the Pipper, but the saboteur's false intel nearly leads her into a trap, the walls closing in tighter than ever. Mini-climax builds to a fever pitch. Destroy the second jammer, she decides. Thumbing the Maverick, release the missile streaks forward, slamming into the target with a deafening blast that lights the canyon in orange fury, silencing the electronic haze and opening the sky once more. But in the aftermath, the sabotage is revealed over the radio, the crew chief confessing in a broken voice. "It was me. I couldn't stand seeing you shine again, Voss. Jealousy got the best of me after all you've been through." The admission hangs heavy, a multi-layered conflict of external threats, internal betrayals, and personal demons testing Elena's spirit to its core, yet forging her stronger as she presses on the convoy's chaos below a mirror to the storms, within her eagle tattoo, a silent vow to soar above it all. The canyon's victory over the second jammer fades quickly into the deepening shadows, the orange glow of the explosion swallowed by the rift's unforgiving maw, leaving Elena to push deeper into the heart of the storm, where the true test awaits. The canyon narrows to a knife edge, its red sandstone walls pressing in like the jaws of some ancient beast, winds howling like ghosts from forgotten battles, whipping dust and debris against the canopy with a ferocity that rattles her bones. Elena's sweat beads on her fair skin, trickling down her sharp features as she grips the stick tighter. Systems holding, but Kane's too smart, predicting my moves like he knows every feint I've got left. The A-10 groans under the strain, its wings clipping perilously close to the jagged outcrops, the thermal updrafts now turning treacherous, pulling and pushing with unpredictable force. Harsh obstacles mount relentlessly. A sudden thermal inversion flips the plane upside down in a dizzying roll, the world inverting as gravity tugs at her harness instruments, screaming warnings. She corrects with expert rudder work, her strong arms steady from years of quiet labor, coaxing the hog back level with a precision honed in simulations and real fire. But each maneuver drains her, the cockpit feeling smaller, the air thicker with the scent of heated metal, and her own resolve fraying at the edges. Internal struggle surges within her, a storm fiercer than the winds outside. Am I repeating Afghanistan? She whispers to herself, the question a dagger to the heart, echoing the doubts that have haunted her since that fateful day, the biases and losses piling up like the canyon's relentless barriers. Almost breaks her spirit as radio silence falls abruptly from the base. Sabotage cuts, the crew chief's confession still ringing in her ears, leaving her isolated in the roar of engines and wind. No allies to guide, no voices to anchor her. Flashback crashes in unbidden, pulling her back to the dusty valleys of the Hindu Kush, the explosions rocking the ground as Mark's unit calls for support. Shadow 7, we're pinned, hurry. She dives low, GAU-8 thundering but arrives too late. The smoke clearing to reveal the devastation Tommy's father gone in an instant. Blaming herself for not being faster, for hesitating under the weight of command, the curse of survival twisting her guilt into chains that now threaten to drag her down in this narrow pass. The plane shudders, a crosswind slamming her against the harness, and for a moment tears blur her vision, the eagle tattoo burning like a brand of failure, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she fights the urge to pull up and flee. Twist strikes like lightning through the static. Kane's voice breaks through on the hacked frequency, cold and familiar. I trained you, Voss, molded you into Shadow 7. Now I'll end you right here in this grave of rock. The revelation adds layers of betrayal depth. He was her former CO, the one whose reckless orders she reported the man who turned her active duty into his downfall, now seeking vengeance in this personal arena. His knowledge of her tactics, a poisoned gift from their shared past. The canyon seems to close tighter, the winds howling louder, as if mourning the fractured bonds of service. Elena teetering on the edge of collapse, her hands trembling on the controls. The weight of history and heartache nearly overwhelming. Yet deep down, a flicker of the eagle's fire refuses to die, urging her ordeal. The revelation of Kane as her former CO hangs heavy in the cockpit like a shroud. His betrayal, a fresh wound atop the scars of Afghanistan, propelling Elena deeper into the canyon's heart, where the walls seem to pulse with the rhythm of her pounding pulse, the air thick with the scent of impending doom. Core battle erupts as the convoy comes fully into sight. Through the targeting pod, armored beasts grinding forward along the dusty floor, their treads churning rock into powder jammers, silenced, but escorts bristling with anti-air threats, a disciplined phalanx under Kane's iron command. Elena dives low, the A-10's nose dipping sharply as she aligns for the attack. "Go 8 hot," she declares into the mic, squeezing the trigger. The cannon roars to life with a feral thunder that vibrates through her very bones. 7 barrels spinning into a blur, vomiting 30mm or depleted uranium shells at a blistering rate that turns metal into confetti. The lead carrier shreds under the onslaught armor, peeling back like tin foil, the shockwave from the internal explosions rattling her canopy and sending debris pinging off the hog's titanium skin, a testament to the raw power that has defined close air support since the jet's inception in the 1970s. But victory is fleeting in this life-or-death proof, the ultimate test surging forth as Kane's command vehicle launches a volley of missiles, streaks of smoke and fire arcing upward like vengeful spirits. She rolls the plane, hard muscles straining against the G-forces, flares deploying in a brilliant countermeasures cascade that lights the canyon walls. Educational insight cuts through the chaos. Depleted uranium pierces like butter. She recalls from training the round's dense cores, designed to punch through heavy plating with kinetic fury, a technology born from Cold War ingenuity that has saved countless ground troops in conflicts echoing the ones many of our listeners may recall from their own eras. The air fills with warning tones, the RWR lighting up like a Christmas tree as more threats lock on her breath. Steady, but sweat stinging her eyes, the eagle tattoo, a burning emblem of the strength she must summon. Twist surprise strikes with cunning precision. Kane ejects a decoy from his vehicle, a drone mimicking his command signature, streaking away to draw her fire. A misdirection that forces her into a heart-wrenching choice. Pursue the personal revenge against the man who shattered her world, or stay true to duty and protect the dam, the lives of thousands hanging in the balance like the fragile threads of her own fractured family. Time slows in that suspended moment, visions of Mark and Tommy flashing before her. Mark's proud smile, Tommy's innocent laugh whispering that revenge is a hollow path. She chooses duty, thumbing the last maverick. For the innocent, she murmurs the missile leaping forward with unerring accuracy, slamming into the real command vehicle in a cataclysmic blast that engulfs Kane's position in flame and smoke. Victory surges as the convoy crumbles, vehicles scattering in disarray, armored holes rent open by her relentless assault, the dam's distant gleam untouched, a beacon of hope amid the wreckage. The SEAL recon breaks through the restored comms. Shadow 7 convoy, down dam, secure you did it. But triumph comes at a cost. The plane hit critically in the exchange, a missile fragment tearing into the engine, nacelle alarms blaring as oil pressure plummets, and flames lick the trailing edge engines, failing with a sickly whine, forcing her to wrestle the wounded hog through the fading light. Her body aching, but spirit unbroken, the ordeal's fire forging her anew in this crucible of courage and choice. The canyon's fury recedes behind her as the last echoes of the convoy's destruction fade into the wind. Swept silence, the dam standing resolute in the distance, like a silent guardian of the valley below. Its white concrete face gleaming under the fading sun, a symbol of what was saved through one woman's unyielding will. Smoke trails from the wreckage below, but in the cockpit, Elena exhales a breath. She didn't know she was holding her hands, still trembling on the controls. The A-10's frame shuddering with the wounds of battle engines, sputtering but holding on just enough. Radio cheers crackle through the restored comms voices from the SEAL team, and bass flooding in with a warmth that pierces the isolation. Shadow 7. You're a legend. Convoy obliterated, dam secure. That was straight out of the history books, Voss. The words wash over her like a balm, affirmations from comrades who had doubted, now laced with respect, earned in fire, reminding us of those quiet moments of recognition that come after the storm, the kind many veterans hold dear as badges of honor, quieter than any medal. Advantage surges in that triumphant instant. The base commander keys in his voice, measured but filled with authority. Voss effective, immediately active reserve status, restored promotion to major on spot. You've proven what we all forgot, and the Air Force needs pilots like you. The declaration reaffirms her self-worth, a partial healing of the wounds that had kept her grounded for so long, the biases and losses that once defined her, now receding like the canyon walls, opening to the desert plain. But the true reward comes from within, as her gloved hand brushes against something in her flight suit pocket. Tommy's letter folded and faded, tucked there as a talisman before takeoff. She pulls it out with care, the childish handwriting bringing tears to her deep blue eyes. "Mom, you're my eagle, strong and free like Dad said. Fly high." The simple words written years ago in crayon during a family picnic before the world shattered ignite an inspirational family tie-in that mends her spirit more than any promotion. A reminder of the love that endures beyond grief, fueling her resilience and whispering that her choices, duty over revenge, honor their memory. The eagle tattoo on her back feels alive now, not a cage, but wings unfolding self-doubt, giving way to a reaffirmed purpose. The plane limps onward, critically damaged, but unbroken. Much like Elena herself, this momentary triumph, a bridge from ordeal to the road home, where new challenges await, but with a heart fortified by legacy and love. The momentary triumph lingers in the cockpit, like a fragile dawn, Tommy's letter still clutched in Elena's hand as a beacon of love amid the chaos. But the A-10's wounds remind her that the battle isn't over the engine's faltering whine, a harbinger of the trials yet to come on this road back to safety. Limping home through the vast desert expanse below the hydraulic leak worsens with a persistent hiss, fluid levels dropping on the gauges as the controls grow sluggish. The once mighty hog, now a wounded bird, fighting to stay aloft, the endless sands stretching out like a golden sea under the setting sun, a landscape that evokes the timeless journeys of those who have crossed deserts in service and sacrifice. Unexpected ambush shatters the fragile peace. Kane's surviving drone, a sleek remnant of his rogue arsenal, strikes from the haze, a final act of vengeance from the man whose betrayal runs deep, its missiles locking on with a shrill tone that pierces the calm. Elena yanks the stick, the plane groaning in protest as she evades the first strike. Flares blooming behind her in a desperate bid to confuse the seeker heads. The explosion rocking the airframe and sending shrapnel glancing off the titanium armor, a testament to the jet's enduring design, but pushing her skills to the brink once more. Educational guidance comes from the restored base comms, the tower's voice cutting through. Shadow 7 hydraulics, critical prep for bellyland. We'll foam the runway that thick layer to smother sparks and slide you in safe, a technique honed from Vietnam-era emergencies to today. Drawing on that knowledge, she navigates the river cut, a narrow scar etched by ancient waters through the rock walls, scraping close enough to feel their chill breath on the wings. The dry bed below a blurred ribbon as she threads the needle crosswinds, battering her like old ghosts, unwilling to let go. The cut demands perfection, each twist a test of her expert touch on the rudder, the plane's frame creaking under the strain, her sweat-soaked flight suit clinging as memories of Mark's final radio call flicker. "Hold on, Elena, we're counting on you." Twist unfolds over the radio, adding final unpredictability. The saboteur, his voice cracking with remorse, confesses in a flood of words. "Voss, it was me all along. Jealousy blinded me seeing you rise after everything. But your example out there unbreakable. It's defeated me. Forgive an old fool." The admission, raw and unexpected, mends a thread of the fractured alliances, turning betrayal into a lesson of redemption. But the ambush presses on another drone volley, forcing her lower. The river cuts shadows, swallowing her as she fights for every mile, unresolved tension coiling tighter. The dam saved, but her own return hanging by a thread. Resilience her only guide through this last gauntlet, the eagle within urging her homeward. The river cut's shadows finally release their grip as Elena bursts into open sky, the desert unfolding below like a vast canvas of redemption. The base's runway shimmering in the distance. A lifeline after the ambush's final drone falls in flames behind her, its threat silenced by her unerring countermeasures. The A-10, battered and leaking, descends, with a defiant grace alarms blaring, but her hand steady on the controls, the foam-coated runway rushing up to meet her. Landing comes in a blaze of sparks, the belly scraping asphalt with a grinding screech that echoes her inner battles, friction and fire blooming in twin trails. But she sticks it, coaxing the jet straight through the foam's embrace, the nose dipping, then holding, as speed bleeds away into stillness, the hog coming to rest whole, if scarred a mirror to her own journey. Medics and crews swarm, but Elena unstraps, slowly emerging from the cockpit, with a poise that commands silence, her flight suit torn, but her form unbowed. Strong arms, defined curves, fair skin marked by the day's grit, a symbol of beauty forged in fire. The commander strides forward, his face shifting from concern to admiration. Voss' active duty restored, no more hiding in the shadows. You're back where you belong, leading the way. The words seal her rebirth. Paperwork be damned. A final twist that defeats the prejudices festering like old wounds. The young pilots, once sneering with bias, now applaud from the barriers. Their claps, a thunderous acknowledgement that shatters the glass ceilings of doubt. Their faces reflecting the change she's wrought. Kane captured in the canyon's aftermath by SEAL teams, his grudge exposed as mere envy during interrogation. A disgraced CO unmasked, his vendetta crumbling under the light of truth, turning anger into triumph for all who faced such shadows in their own lives. Rebirth blooms fully as she traces the eagle tattoo on her back, fingers lingering on the inked wings. I fly free now. She whispers the symbol, no longer a cage, but a promise, fulfilled society around her. Shifting in subtle ways, the base alive with nods of respect, whispers of her legend, spreading like wildfire. A message etched in every heart. Resilience trumps prejudice, turning loss into legacy, doubt into defiance. The anger of betrayals and biases fades into cathartic release. Elena standing taller under the desert stars, her spirit renewed, ready to inspire a new generation to soar beyond the storms that once held them down. The runway's foam still hisses beneath the A-10's belly as Elena steps down the base, alive with a newfound respect that hums in the air like the desert wind after a storm, ground crews and pilots alike. Nodding in quiet admiration, their eyes reflecting the change, she's ignited a shift from doubt to reverence, a legacy taking root in the hearts of those who witnessed her flight. She pauses by a young female pilot, barely out of training, whose wide eyes mirrored the uncertainties Elena once carried. Placing a gentle hand on her shoulder, Elena mentors, with words born from hard-won wisdom. Don't let them clip your wings. Dear, fly through the biases, the losses, and claim the sky that's always been yours. The moment passes like a torch, inspiring the next generation to rise above the walls that once confined a humanistic message, resonating deep. In a world of bias, true strength soars from within, overcoming loss, gender walls, and self-doubt leaves a legacy for generations, a reminder that every storm faced forges paths for those who follow. Open ending beckons as the horizon calls to her under the indigo sky, the vast desert whispering of flights yet to come. Her father's quote echoing in her soul, "Eagles rise on storms." A final affirmation that her journey, though complete in this tale, continues in the endless pursuit of freedom and purpose. CTA. If Elena's story inspired you Like share your own tales of resilience, comment below, and subscribe for more empowering narratives. Join our community together. We soar